How do you use it then? Very good answer. Inaccessible from other classes, nahi. Inaccessible for you also. You can't create new instance. If you make constructor private, you can't create instance. It becomes private. What will you do? Private, for example, private functions can only be used inside the class. No. How will you use outside? Constructor you can't use outside, you can't write new. What I'm asking is, what would be the one reason to do such a thing? Right? Everyone understood now the question, yes? Clear? Okay, I'll first give you the solution and then I'll explain to you why it can possibly be used. I'm gonna kill Excalibur or something. Yeah. It's called a singleton. Okay. Even ChatGPT did, they would have gotten this answer, but clearly does not understand how singleton works because you don't have to worry. It's a design principle. So anyone, if they're wondering where singleton comes from, you don't have to worry, but I'll tell you, there's something called design principles. Design pattern. Something called design patterns in Java. It most probably will not be asked for you, but I just wanted to show you that Java became so complicated. So using classes became so complicated that people created these fixed patterns that can be used for particular kind of interesting things. And that is what singleton is. Singleton is a pattern like that. There are other patterns. You can see singleton here. 1 second, facade, flyweight. See, singleton lets you ensure that class only has one instance while providing global access point to that instance. Now, why would this be useful? See, these are other design patterns. Don't worry about it. I'm telling you where the concept comes from. Why would this be useful? Okay, let's understand the code first. First, I've said that there's a private static singleton instance. So, a private static instance. What does a static instance mean? Can someone tell me? And singleton is the class itself, right? Instance. And I've basically given it a name called instance, and I've written new inside. I can use new inside because once I've written a private constructor as private, I can use new inside. I can't use it outside. So I can't do this. What I'm trying to say is I can't do. I can't do this. I can't do this outside. In my main public static void main, I can't do this. But I can call this function to get an instance to it. Okay. Can someone tell me what static ensures? What does static ensure usually in code? Quickly tell me. I'll share that screen just a second. For that, I'll go for the break. You guys can all go for the break. What does static ensure? Come on, tell me quickly. JavaScript, you guys don't know what static does. Nine. What does static do in a class? Static, you are right. You are right. Very right, Nikhil. Static lies on the class, not on the object. Very good. When you write static, it is something that lies on the class. So when you create a static variable inside a class, you can use a class name dot the static variable to use it. Math is a good example. Math is used like that. Na? You create a new instance of math to do the math operations in Java. Math only, no, I think. Yeah. I have learned so many languages, I forget something. But you guys understand what I'm trying to say? You can use it using the class itself. But here also I have done a trick. I have made it private, so I can't even directly access it using singleton. So what I'm saying is I'm saying private static. Static means it will be created only once for the class. Okay? And I've created it here. The constructor itself is private, so I can never create a new object of this. Then I've created a variable called get instance, which will give me only one instance to this object, which will always be the same. So what is happening is, what a singleton means is, no matter who is using this class, can only use one same object. Does that make sense? Can anyone tell me what is the benefit of this? What is the benefit of a singleton? Why would I create a class in which I can only create one object and everyone can only use that one object? Tell me. You guys understood the code, no? Essentially. Yes? No? Question mark? Yes? Thumbs up? Yes, it is necessary. No, Shubham, the method is necessary because I can't do singleton dot instance. You understand? Because it's private, I can't access it from outside. So that function is what allows me to access it. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So the reason this function is necessary is I can't write singleton dot instance. I won't be able to access it. Why? Because it's private. So this is the only way to get an instance variable. Okay. Now, tell me why this could be useful. Why is this useful? Tell me. Quickly, guys. Nahi pata. Down. No one knows. Down. No one knows. Take. Let's assume I'm making a banking application. How many objects of bank should I have? 50. Every While creating ICICI Bank, it has 50 objects. Every new developer creates a new object of the bank and adds different customers. So I have to now check which object of the bank class actually has the real customers. There are real use cases where I only want one instance of the class created. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? If, for example, I create a class called bank, I don't want anyone to be able to access or make new objects of bank because maybe when I start the bank, I have created everyone's account balance as zero, and then again, if someone creates a new class, that will have zero. Singleton has real use case. I'm giving you one example, but there are a lot. Right? It's essentially saying I want one source of truth. Not only that, because of the way it works, I can check how many objects are currently being used, like how many instances are currently being used. I can have a static pointer here. I can have another variable called counter, private counter, and that is always increased here. So I know how many consumers are there. So you can think of like maybe a server application, maybe a ticketing platform application, where you need one source of truth always. Singleton is a good idea. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say? Because all of it will never have any other class. And everyone using the class will have to use only one instance. Make sense? Clear. Chalo. It's a basic level understanding. In my game example, the game itself will be a singleton because I always want the game to only start once. I don't want any other developer to make new objects of the game instance because game only starts once. All of the things inside the game might change. I might add new characters and stuff like that. Game itself should only start once, and it should start things once when the application starts. Make sense? Awesome. Just singleton covered. Um, these are all basic things. Constructor, private, multi-line. Okay, let's take a 5 minute break, guys. Okay, then we'll quickly cover network के questions. Okay, and what else questions are there? 1 second. Na? We'll quickly cover networking के questions, and then quickly I'll tell you how to quickly revise DBMS. There's a very good resource I have for that. Okay, with that you should be able to cover everything. Okay, see you back in 5 minutes, guys. Okay, uh, let's start again at 8:05 or 8:10. Let's start at 8:10. Okay, I'll just quickly have some water. My throat is dry. Okay, 8:10 we'll start and we'll try to finish everything by 8:30, maximum 9. Everyone's cool? Okay, quickly have something. Come back. 8:10 we'll start again. Chalo, awesome. Guys.
Okay. Let me know if you can hear me, guys. My earphones charge chala gaya. My earphones are out of charge, but still, I'm assuming I'm still audible. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to learn about networks quickly. Okay. Networks is an interesting topic. And networks questions will also come. Again, the question blank will be sent. I will also finally tell you an approach of how to use AI to essentially learn really well. Don't do the normal just using AI and answer. I will give you that also, so that whatever content I've given you, questions I've given you, you can explore on your own and actually win. Because see, self-understanding is different from me explaining. So I'll show you that method also, how I have learned. Like right now, I'm contributing to Linux. I have open contributions to Linux. I have open contributions to a lot of open source code repos, right? I will show you how that that principle comes, so that you can try that for the next 2 days and win also. Okay. So before we go into all of this, let's actually learn about OSI. Okay. I'll share my screen. One second, guys. Okay. OSI layers. OSI. 1 second, guys. Yes. But 1 second. I just give me 1 minute. Just trying to get you some really good images so that explaining is easy. Array. That's just forgot this. Okay. So now let me share my screen. Full screen will be the best. Share. Yeah. What is sharing? Is it sharing? Is it sharing? Okay. Now, first, what I'm going to teach you is I'm going to teach you about OSI. Now, OSI is the usual, like it's the usual structure of how internet is, like, structured. How many of you know about OSI? Have heard about OSI before? You've heard about OSI, right? So I'll give you general understanding of OSI so that it's like a revision also. See, OSI is not actual division. A lot of people don't understand this. It's not actual division. It's an abstract division, right? What I mean by that is there are some responsibilities that systems have to implement, and they just divided those responsibilities into different categories. I'll give you a good example, right? At the very top of OSI is application. Now, I'll ask you a simple question, right? When I, for example, go to facebook.com, right? Or when I go to google.com, or when I go to whatever place you're going to, although you're using the browser to go there, can you tell me what actually the browser is doing at a very basic level? I don't want DNS and all. What is it basically doing? If you think about it at its core, what is it essentially doing? How is it going to Google? Like, how am I getting the page for Google? How am I getting the page for Google? What request am I sending? There's a particular kind of request I'm sending to get it. You guys have heard about HTTP, HTTPS? So that is the protocol at the very top, okay, that I'm using. Does it tell you how the actual packets are transferring? No. I'm just saying you can, for example, do curl. If anyone knows how this works, what we say, how command line works, you can do a curl. Curl is a way to hit any kind of URL, and you can put https:/google.com, and you can hit the point of Google. Like that's the application layer where I'm saying, how do I communicate on the very top? So you can think of it like this: a browser is using the application layer to do all of its communication. Does that make sense? The browser is using the application layer to communicate downwards. All of the other responsibilities are also written in the OS, but at the very top is the application layer. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, perfect. Now, when we go one step down, we change some responsibilities so that we are changing the chain of commands. At presentation layer is where all of the presentational elements are coming into picture. Now, for example, presentational components also include, for example, things like SSL and TSL. Now, I'll tell you what SSL and TSL are. Both are interesting. So you should understand, okay, have you guys heard this nonsense that you can use your VPN to become more secure? Who believes all of this is true? Like, for example, if you use a VPN, then hackers can't steal your data. It's utter garbage. It has nothing to do with VPN, right? It's all garbage. Okay. Where it is actually being prevented is that you're using HTTPS. Okay. All of these companies who are making VPNs are trying to grift you. Okay. I'll tell you what the use case of VPNs is, because we have to come into that also, because you're working for a network company and security. That's why I'm trying to explain to you this in more depth. Okay. Try to understand these things. These questions will be asked to you, right? All of the NordVPN is a scam. Those are not real applicational logics. The real reason you're protected is because of HTTPS. Can someone tell me why you're protected because of HTTPS? Anyone knows? And this is where it comes, this HTTPS and all of this comes in the presentational layer. So at the very top layer, you just send whatever is in English. The presentational layer, which is implemented in all operating system, will convert that into SSL. The browser also implements this. Both of this is usually implemented by the browser itself. But can someone tell me why, for example, when I send some OTP to bank or something like that, or when I communicate to bank, why is it not visible to others, even if I'm not using a VPN? Can someone tell me? I know you will tell me encrypted. Anything else people know? Come on, quickly. Guys, come on. Nobody knows? Down? Come on, guys, you have to cover a lot of things. More? No, nahi pata. Now, assume, okay, we're going to do a fun experiment. I'm going to quickly explain to you how SSL works. Okay? So, not SSL exactly SSL TLS, but whatever. How HTTPS works underneath, right? So, assume that there is a color that everyone knows. Let's say green. Okay? So, all of you know green. Okay? सबको green पता है. तुम्हें green पता है, मुझे पता है. There's a particular color of green that everyone knows. Okay? Now, assume that I have a private color. Okay, I'll show you with example so that you understand this. It's a very actually interesting concept. So that you understand how, at the base level, how encryption works on a network that is not safe. Because see, technically, think about this, guys. सोच के देखना, ठीक है? If I want to tell to my bank that I want to tell you some secret, how do I tell him in such a way that we both know a secret that nobody else knows? If, for example, I send the bank the password first, anyone who's listening to my network can hear my password, and thus that whole protection does not work. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? The network is open. It is open in the sense anyone can hear it. VPN does not stop these attacks. VPN just puts another person in between, right? So I'm trying to tell my bank something secret, and we want to somehow communicate in a secret way. Okay? Now assume there is a color that the bank and I know. Let's say green. Okay? Okay? Let's say I know color green that everyone knows. Now assume I have a secret color. This works using mathematics and numbers, but I'm using examples of color. I have a particular blue that I generated. It's some 23 blue. I don't care. Okay? And the bank generates some other random color. Let's say orange 47. Okay? 34, whatever. Now, what I do is, if you guys have ever mixed colors together, it's very hard to separate them back out. Huh? So similarly, there are processes in mathematics where you can combine two things and it's very hard to separate them out. Does that make sense to you guys? Yes? Okay? Just like mixing colors, there are mathematical problems where if you do two things together, it's hard to separate them. Just like mixing colors, right? Without knowing the original colors, it would be super hard to actually unmix them. So what I do is, on my side, I mix blue and I take the public green and I send this to, not game. I send this to the bank. This all the hackers can see. Okay, this process is, I'll show you where this process comes. This is the process of encryption where HTTPS starts. This is how HTTPS begins. This is called the key cipher, key exchange algorithm, if anyone is curious. Okay. Now, blue and green bhej diya. So this guy has blue and green. He will send me orange and green. Okay. Now, once I get orange and green from him, I can mix blue. So I can say orange plus green plus blue. Okay. He can also, once he gets blue and green from me, he can mix his orange. It's a simple addition problem. Now, if you think about it logically, don't we both have the same color? Orange, green, blue in the same ratios. Yes or no? If you don't understand what I'm trying to explain here, 1 second. I'll share my screen, only this screen, so that I can see your reactions. 1 second. Okay? Good job. Quickly, I'm trying to explain to you how HTTPS works underneath, or SSL, essentially. Okay? Yeah. If you don't understand what I'm trying to say, देखो, मैंने public में भेजा है blue and green and orange and green. When I privately combine it, because I have blue with me, I can get orange, green, blue. He can also get orange, green, blue. Now, any hacker, if they mix this color, what will they get? They will get 2 green, blue, and orange. They will not actually get this color. Does everyone understand what I'm trying to say? Because the hackers only know this, na? They don't know what my private blue is or what his private orange is. If you understand what I'm trying to say. If you don't understand, tell me. Okay. Because of this, we both have a secret that nobody else has. That is how encryption starts. And this is called the key cipher algorithm. Once this happens, I can use this as a key to encrypt all of my text. That is why encryption works. Sense? Okay. And if you're wondering how it works in real life, it uses modulo and big prime numbers, not colors. It's an NP-hard problem. You can't reverse it. Everyone knows what an NP-hard problem is, right? It is an exponential complexity for very big numbers. But anyway, understood? Okay, that's how private connections are made. Now, all of these duties are in which layer? In OSI. All of these kind of encryption kind of / these duties are in the presentation layer. Make sense? So to the something on the application layer, they don't really care about what encryption is happening. Okay? Then the session layer is what is tracking the session. If you have ever seen, you have opened Facebook and you've gone to the next tab maybe Facebook khulega because it's sharing a session. That session logic is implemented there. Okay? Now on the transport layer is where the actual algorithm is used. HTTPS is the application layer. On the lower level, it is using real handshakes. There's something called TCP and there's something called UDP. We'll understand that in a little more detail. But think of it like the actual technical implementation that supports HTTP and HTTPS and some other things like RDP and all of that. Right? But on the application layer, the actual protocols that support it, jahan pe likha gaya ki what you have to do, is on the transport layer. Network layer essentially has all of the low-level network things. For example, what IP address I should send data to, what this address I should send data to, how should I transmit, and stuff like that. Data link layer usually has some of the other things like MAC, I'm not wrong, right? Handles non-node data transfers between devices on the same network. Yeah, it's like low-level things like MAC addresses and few other things that I don't remember anymore. But like at the very lower level, the physical layer is where you're actually converting all of this data into bits that you are transferring on an actual line. Like you're converting it into electric signals, for example. In my case, what would be the physical layer? My Wi-Fi card, which is connected to my Wi-Fi router. If you don't understand what these layers are, they're all on the same computer. Some might be implemented by the OS, some might be implemented by the browser, but they are actual, like you can think of it like a logical way of dividing responsibility. Does everyone understand to some degree what I'm trying to say? Okay, sorry, but I'm sharing the wrong screen. They should have told me, man. 1 second. Sorry, guys. My bad. Take it. Now I'm sharing the whole screen. Again. So what I'm saying is, in these layers, okay, application layer again is HTTP, HTTPS, all of the high-level protocols. Presentation is where all the encryption and the handshake nonsense is happening. Session is where I'm seeing session. So for example, if I change browsers, for example, I change the tab, that's why, for example, Facebook is still logged in because I'm in the same session. Transport is where I like the actual protocol. Protocol means agreement. For example, do you guys know what protocol we are talking in? If I ask a question that what protocol am I communicating you with? What is the protocol? English. Makes sense. English has a particular set of rules that allow me to communicate with you guys. So that's where, does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? Yes, no, Hardik. Perfect. So that's those kind of implementation logic usually exists in the transport layer. Network layer has IP things like what IP, where the IP is located, how to transmit IP, and all of those things. Data link layer has a little more lower level things like MAC address. MAC level addresses are lower level than IP. For example, think of it like this. My laptop can only have one MAC, but it can change and have different IPs. If I, for example, take a connection from, I change from this to Geo. For example, my internet goes away, my light goes away, and I connect to my mobile hotspot. Only my data link layer technically changes. For example, sorry, my data link layer does not change, only my network layer changes. Data link, it is still the same MAC address. And physical is the actual hardware. Like, how do I communicate? So, for example, if you have ever heard about Wi-Fi 6, you guys heard of Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth, all of these things? You guys have heard about this? Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth, suna hai na? All of these lay on the physical layer. So it's very crazy that this works if you think about it. Physical layer code is written by the operating system. Actually, it's not even written by the operating system. It is written for network card. Physical layer things are written on your network card. Okay? And then on top of that, there are a few other things. For example, the data link layer again is written on your network card. Even your network layer is written on your network card. Then transport session, presentation, and application level layer is written kind of a mix between the browser and the operating system. And that's how this whole magic is working. Okay? Why have I explained you this? Now think of this, right? You tell me one thing. So this is your router. This is another router, for example, Google's router. I send data to the router, right? From the physical layer, it goes to the router. Does the router need to see what data I'm sending? Yes or no? Does it need to see what data I'm sending? उसको कोई मतलब है मैं क्या डेटा भेज रहा हूँ कि राउटर को इतना ही मतलब है कहां भेजना है. Like router only needs to care where it has to be sent, no? Yes or no? I'm asking a question. Does router care what data I'm sending? Guys, hello, come back. Did you guys understand the question or not? Router does not need to care what data I'm sending. Router does not need to care if I'm going to Facebook or not. It just needs to know if the data is being sent to what IP address. That's all. That is exactly why, if you see this diagram, it only implements to the network layer. It does not implement the transport layer, session layer, application layer, or presentation layer. That's why while the data is being transferred, there is no encryption, decryption. It's very quick. It only goes to the data layer. It only cares कि ये router से दूसरे router में कहाँ भेजना है. How do I send it as? For example, the router, if you think about it, if any of you have broadband, the data comes from here, goes to the Wi-Fi router. In the Wi-Fi router, most of you have a, Ethernet, like you have a fiber optic cable that is going to a dish above. So the router has the logic of which IP address to send to, what MAC address is being operated, and what IP it has. And in the very basic layer, physical layer, it says, okay, I'll take all of this Wi-Fi data, I'll convert it into light signal so I can send it on the wire, on the what is it called? On the whatever wire or whatever network. Okay? Everyone understand what OSI is? It's just a logical division of responsibility. Make sense? Right? So, depending upon what device it is, might implement different parts of the layer. Your mobile implements all of that because it has to communicate all. Okay? Perfect. Now, OSI is done. Now, let's talk about what TCP and UDP is. Do you guys know what TCP and UDP is? If you know that, I'm not going to go into too much detail. You guys know what TCP and UDP is. Can someone tell me quickly ki, why is there a difference? Why is there a benefit between TCP and UDP? Can someone tell me? Why sometimes I have to use TCP and sometimes I have to use UDP? Tell me. कोई unmute कर लो यार जल्दी से. I'm also tired. Tell me, come on. Don't know. नहीं करना है. When TCP and UDP. To be faster, use UDP for video conferencing and all. Not exactly faster. Nikhil, it's not exactly faster. Now, let me give you an example. Okay? Let's say, Nikhil, that your bank uses UDP to do your transactions. Okay? Instead of TCP. Okay? So what TCP guarantees is, TCP guarantees that some data will be sent. If it's not sent, if it's lost, you guys understand that it might be lost on the network. What if for a microsecond, because of code pushed by AI, right, Cloudflare crashes. Cloudflare is this provider, or any of these donkey services crashes, right? Because everyone thinks AI writes great code. No, it doesn't. Let me make it very right. If some of that network crashes, then so let's say, Nikhil, you are making a transaction. Okay? So the transaction was essentially that you were transferring money from your account to some of your friends' account. Okay? And hypothetically, what happened is the first transaction was deduct from your account. So it sent it through UDP. Okay? So it got it. Okay? UDP does not guarantee packages delivery. And after that, it got the deduction. Next, you are sending a request saying that send it to your friend's account. So the next request is saying update your friend's account with that money. That got failed. That got failed on the network level. Right? So what will happen now? Your paisa gone, his paisa not come, and then you're screwed. Right? Makes sense? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? So when you want to guarantee delivery of packages, use TCP. Right? Even if the network goes down, when the network does come back up, you would want to ensure that it happens. Does that make sense? Are you guys understanding what I'm trying to say about TCP? Okay. Now, video conferencing, and you are right that TCP is slower because every time I'm acknowledging every packet. Now, why is UDP faster? UDP and TCP are not faster because of inherently anything. It is faster and slower because of how much time the server waits to confirm if a packet is sent. Now, Nikhil, let's try the same example where in video conferencing, this Google Chat is implemented using UDP underneath. It does not use all video streaming, even your phone, right? When you do voice over IP, when you are doing calls, these is voice over IP. That and all is coming through UDP only, not TCP. Now, in that case, you tell me, if one frame of my video was missing, would you really notice? Humans see it 24 frames per second. It's not that if it's 23 frames per second, you guys will not be able to see my motion. But instead of that, if my mouth and voice was 10 seconds slower, that would be irritating, right? Agreed, everyone agreeing, no? If I'm making sure that 100% guaranteed network packets are being sent, but it's slower, it's a problem. So that's where UDP and TCP is differentiated. TCP ensures that the packet gets sent as long as both the applications are live. It'll keep checking, it'll keep doing. UDP, on the other hand, does not guarantee that. Now, this does not mean, like everyone is going to ask me, but Google Pay mein aisa hua कि पहले पैसे डिडक्ट हो गए and वहां पे पैसे नहीं गिरे, or you will be like, Google Pay did a problem where my money got deducted and it did not get placed. That's an application level problem. The developers of Google Pay have not implemented proper rollbacks, and it takes time. That is the reason. Okay? Not the network. The network request did go guaranteed. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? It's a little lower. Those are application level problems. Code mein problem hai. Lower level pe nahi. This is I'm talking about literally the packets being sent or not. Understood? Again, why you might be learning all of this and why you might be asked this in an interview, I'll also explain that. Again, so this is the very detailed example of how a TCP connection would look like. Again, so first, do you guys know what a DNS is? Domain name server. And I'll tell you why I'm explaining all of this, because they might ask you interesting questions like this. Domain name server is very simple. Okay? Domain name server is like a phone book. Okay? I write www.google.com. Right? In your case, your company में some client writes like company name / client1, whatever. Now, the browser, hypothetically, or like any of the router, lower levels don't understand google.com. It's not like an address. They need an actual address, an IP address. So your ISP, internet service provider, in my example, it would be what we say, it will be Vodafone. They provide a map. Where each IP address is named to some domain. This is maintained by different people. DNS services are now usually provided by AWS and Cloudflare. But XYZ, what I'm trying to say is when you type google.com in the browser, or when you do, for example, a SSH connection, which is a connection where you're trying to connect to a server, you actually write an address. That has to be resolved to an IP address. That service is called a domain name server. Does everyone understand what I'm trying to say? It's converting that name that is understandable to human beings into an IP address. That is the job of a DNS. Clear? Now, I have a quick question to whoever is listening. Okay? Now I type www.google.com, immediately Google shows up. Why is there no delay in picking up the information from the DNS? Does anyone know? Why is there no delay? You tried putting google.com. Why is it not taking time? Immediately it's coming. You're saying it's fast internet. No, I'm telling you, without fast internet also it will come very quickly. Can someone tell me why? Why am I able to fetch it quickly? Yes, come on. Answer. Come on. Sojo. Any idea? No. Yes, local cache. Very good, Nikhil. There's local cache on your browser. There's local cache on your system. There are multiple cache levels, right? It first checks the cache. If the cache already has a hit for it, it's not going to go to the domain name server. Now, why do you care about this? The interviewer might ask, one of our clients is not able to log into our page. How do you debug? So you are on a call with him. You're trying to debug. So first you try to clear the cache. You try to open an incognito window so that the DNS values get updated. Because understand why I'm explaining you in so much detail. Because this might be the work that you might, as like a technical analyst, this is something that you might have to do. Does that make sense? Right? You need to understand this chain of what is failing where. Okay? So you will say to the customer, try clearing your cache for this website and then try again. Try clearing your system cache and then try again. We will now do one level this. Let's go to the next level of investigations. Right? Right. Perfect. Awesome. Now, so that is the first request, which it goes to www.site, returns back the address. Now it does the connection time. This is what is standard in TCP. It will first say a sync. Okay, fine. I want to do. I'll show you how the request looks like also. Usually it looks like this. It says, okay, here is my IP address. Here is my source port. Here is where I want to communicate to. This is where I want to go. Okay, and this is the destination port address. What it's saying is, so from my IP address, on this port, which is usually port 80 if you are doing HTTP, another port if you're doing HTTPS. From this network on this port, I want to connect to this destination on this port. Okay. Can we start that? Like, can we start this request? Then it will send an acknowledgement saying, okay, fine, I received your request. Here is my server address. Here is my port. Okay, I understand that this is what you want to do. So basically I do a sync. I give you my address. I confirm everything and acknowledge. And I then say finally, okay, I understand. Perfect. So I sent you, I understand your address. I understand my address. And now it sends the data. That's how TCP works. This is called a three-way handshake, right? Now, that is also shown here, the three-way handshake. After this three-way handshake is the SSL handshake. Do you guys remember where I said one color plus a color gets sent and the other color gets sent? That's a full picture of how it's being working, how it's working through the different layers and how it's connecting to a server. Makes sense. Everyone can see my screen. Everyone understands? Yes? Oh, perfect. Awesome. That is the whole process, and you will have to debug at each process. You might see, for example, I give you realistic scenarios, right? How do you go through it? You first see, okay, is there an application problem? I might go and check in the logs that if the server is working. So server is working, no problem. Then you say, okay, I will try to connect from my side using what we say, my connections to the server. That is working. Okay, maybe there's a problem on the customer side. I will check if his DNS cache is fine. I'll try to update the DNS cache. I'll try to clear his caches. Then I'll go to the next step. I'm like, okay, DNS cache is working. This is working. Maybe certificate is not updated. Now, what is certificate is, if you have ever seen a lock on these sites, have you ever seen a lock, guys? Ye jo lock hai, if you can see it. This lock, this is called an SSL certificate. What it guarantees is essentially that I'm talking to Google and my HTTPS connection is made to Google. So you would check if the certificate is expired. Somehow the certificate has an issue. So these are the levels of steps of debugging you do in networks. Okay? With that, I actually am covering most of the things in network. Again, one more whole sheet will be given to you. This is all the time we have. I would have loved to do it in more depth. I would have sat here for 5-6 hours about network, but clearly not. I don't have that time, right? So let's go to the final step, which is how I feel like you should learn SQL. I'll share the link, Khan Academy ka link, and this is the best resource to quickly learn through SQL and practice SQL. So I'm sharing this link of the what do you say, SQL ka course on what do you say, this one. Let me just check if everything is there. Game learn visualization takes and others, and SQL queries. 1 second, let me just confirm. Join, I guess. Perfect. So this is the link. Just go through this course. It's fairly simple. You actually get a quick examples of what is, how to solve the problems also, because it's very hard to show. Like, it would be very hard to set up an SQL database and actually go through the whole process. I'll share it with your coordinator also. Right, just a quick second. Just a second. I'll just share it with your coordinator as well. Okay, I'll share it later. Yeah, but I would recommend that course to quickly go through SQL. It's a very good course. Whenever I'm having SQL kind of questions, it's something that I do quickly. There's real examples of join and stuff like that. Again, why would you use it in real life? You might have problems with customer databases. Databases will exist. You'll have to do some kind of querying, some kind of join to check why customers' data is currently broken. Okay? So with that, I think I've covered most of the topics for you to be fairly strong. The only thing I was not able to cover in the duration is some questions regarding Windows Server and ISS. And now I'll give you a quick overview on how I actually go through and learn all of these topics. Okay? That is again just a tool for you guys to expand further. So you can either use Claude Code or ChatGPT, right? I'll open Claude Code, use the free tier, do whatever you want, it's fine. Right? Now, how I usually do is, right, I'll quickly show you the pattern of how I would understand. So when I ask a question, right, let's say this is the question, what is ISS and what is it used for? After it gives the answer, if you find any term that you don't understand, go deeper. So it's called the 5 whys. If you ever actually have learned about how debugging works, there's something called 5 whys. So what you do is essentially, you read through it. For example, okay, Internet Information Service is a Microsoft web service. If you don't understand what a web server is, ask it what a web server is on a different thread. And do that 5 times until you reach a point where you know all answers. That is the way you actually use LLMs to really improve yourself rather than wasting your time just giving an LLM answer. I can guarantee you, if you're thinking of cheating by using an LLM answer and just blurting it out, someone like me who has been in the industry can catch you immediately. Right? Because it is very obvious when you're reading a script. So I would recommend you to actually understand what you're going before going. Don't worry. They won't ask too many questions about Windows Server and stuff like that. It's not that commonly used. I would like you to just understand that to your ability and try to answer it using your own understanding. Everyone like kind of gets what I'm trying to say. Take a topic, get the answer, and keep fighting with it until you understand what it is. And that way you will be very safe. Clear? Yes. If any one of you has doubts, please ask me. I've tried my best to give as much knowledge as possible so that your next 2 days will be like really good in prep. I do hope, and also do some quant problems, basic quantitative analysis problems. Uh, Samir went up the hill, Samir went down the hill, all of that nonsense, right? Speed, velocity nonsense. That is there in the first. I've not covered that because I think most of you guys would know, right? If anyone else has questions, you're free to ask. Others can leave. I think we have about 5-10 minutes now remaining in the class. Feel free to ask us whatever questions you have random. It's fine. If not, within 5 minutes, I'll close the class if no one has questions. Oh yeah, it is all being shared. Waiter, sorry. Can you please share the paper pattern of the test that will be conducted on? Yeah, that will be shared with you by the coordinator. Whole thing. So I'll walk you through the whole PDF will be shared with you guys. Okay, ये पूरा portion. This will be shared with you guys. Don't worry. I have also gotten it from them only. Okay, this whole thing will be. So this is what you have to concentrate on. First exam will be MCQ based on these quantitative things. Quickly do this. Okay, quantitative will be the first. I'm expecting because it says quantitative is the first round. Quants to jaldi se kar lo. Quants crack karoge, so you'll go to the next round. Next round, may see here is everything I've told you. DSA array and strings. Focus on the first topics first, then go to the more harder topics. So always in the list that I've given you for DSA also, focus on the first few things and try to figure that out. I've already explained to you a lot of this. So this you will easily clear. Okay? DBMS, as I mentioned, Khan Academy, jaldi se kar lo, 2 hours you'll be able to finish. Right? It's an easy win. This also you already know OSI model, TCP, HTTP protocol. This is easy. See, all of these are easy wins. Okay? All of these are easy wins. This you just need to know Java and then DSA. That's all. So first practice on this quickly so that you quickly get wins. Jaldi se today. Tomorrow, Ragado DSA, you will be able to clear. Then it's just interview. Right? Interview and like, see. So once you clear this round, then it becomes fairly easy to practice a little more of stack tree and array, which is exactly what I've given you. I've really thought through and done that. It's not the entire DSA portion. मैंने तुम लोगों को try why नहीं सिखाया. If I had sat for try 3 hours, try would have gone, right? And then OOPS principle and stuff like that. See, HTTP, SMTP, DHCP. These are some of the protocols I did not have the time to teach, but look into them. It's fairly easy, right? Here is the whole troubleshooting question I gave you. Like someone's website is not loading. How do you debug, right? So these are the like so. Based on your question, whichever round is coming, focus on that. Focus on this first quickly, then focus on these topics and then do DSA. If you have cleared this round, when you go to the next round, start preparing a little more advanced DSA, OOPS concept, little more on protocols and scenarios like I told you. Again, ask Claude this question or deep mein, puchte raho until you understand everything, right? Then you will be cleared. I think it will be fairly easy, guys. And of course, HR round mein don't say stupid things like I want to do what we say, I want to do education. First thing you will be removed, okay? No education, jhoot words. What I'm trying to say is don't say shit like that. You have to say that, no, I am looking for the future here. I am thinking of like, potentially getting into higher roles in a lead role, maybe in the next 4 years. I'm passionate about network security. I like that you are in this field of like securing systems and stuff like that. You understand? No, you guys know what the company is doing. Learn to do that. Right? That's how you win. Does that clear the question? Right? Don't tell shit like that. I want developer job only. If you want a job, just take the job. Right? If you don't want, then don't attend. Right? That's what I'm going to tell you. Because you can always keep preparing and always keep applying. Right? It is always nice to start having experience. Right? Okay? Once you come to my role, then you can chill and you can resign and do whatever the hell you want. Right? You can start your own company and whatnot. Okay? Hopefully that clears things. If there are any other questions, please feel free. Those 2 documents will be shared. I've already shared my list. All of this will be shared in a Google Drive. So don't you guys worry. We have tried our best to do as much as possible. So it's just upon your effort. Spend some time. I think you can easily get it. I think the class is competent enough. With my interactions, I can feel that. Okay? You guys will be able to crack it. Don't worry about it. Okay, use AI even if you're cheating as a cheat sheet. Uska answer nahi bolna. Like you don't say fire emoji interview question. That'd be stupid. Okay, I've seen people look here and answer the whole thing. Nahi chalta hai, theek hai? Very obvious, right? I am telling from memory. You guys might realize that I might have revised before coming, but that's how you should understand a concept and try to tell. Right? That's very obvious to the interviewer. They will immediately select you even if you get it wrong. Just spend some time with Claude, you'll be able to understand. Okay? Okay, guys, that's all. Thank you again. Please, if there's any more questions, I'll take questions for 3-4 minutes more and then I'll close the session. Awesome. Sure. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Again, feel free to reach out just if you want to connect, ask me things. Right. My name is Rahul Mohan. It was nice talking to you guys. Always, you can look me up on LinkedIn. Right. And just like if you want career guidance, whatever, right? I'm always happy to respond to just like folks who are starting. I love teaching. It's kind of a passion. I've been doing it for a while. I've written a few books. So again, thank you. Have a great day. All the best for the exam. Don't you guys worry. It's not going to be that difficult. Just focus on the basics, do some problems, try your best, right? You will get through. Chalo, good night. Take care.